Hi, it's Courtney. Welcome to the House of Rest. I am here today to talk about what God has been talking to me about. And if you're here watching this video, then you might be in transition, in some sort of transition in your life. Whether you're experiencing like the passing of a loved one, or a relationship has ended, or maybe you're in between jobs or careers. Maybe it's something else. But I do believe if you're here today, then you probably have a relationship with transformation right now. Maybe you're in the chrysalis. If you want to hear more about transformation, metamorphosis, the liminal space, then stick around because I think that this video is for you. Today was interesting, and even preparing myself to come on and talk today, because I feel like there's so much moving. We just passed the energy of a full moon, and I think we're integrating a lot right now. We're integrating all of the things that have come up for us in the last, I say like a week or so, probably longer, especially if you're a sensitive soul. And also the fact that you are going through a transition right now, which transition spaces can feel so crazy. And I truly believe that I am here to assist, to be a midwife, to be a doula, if you will, to assist people in their own transformative processes. I'm not sure. I've actually been going through a bit of a transition myself. I have an elderly dog. I've had her for 15 years. She's 15. And she could be dying right now. She could not be dying, but she also could be dying. And I've gone through losing my mother, watching her pass away. I saw her mother pass away. That was the first person I ever saw transition. I was there for their transition. I have experienced heartbreak. I do resonate a lot with the twin flame journey, and I'm here to talk today especially about the twin flame journey because I believe that everyone is on a twin flame journey, even if you are not in a relationship, whatever. Like, the twin flame journey is about awakening. It's about uniting the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And we all have both of those energies within us. And I believe that all of the stories, Christ consciousness, Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, I believe is reflected in the twin flame journey. There's so much to unpack there. Some of the greatest Gnostics and mystics and philosophers of our time have wrestled with the questions of why are we here? What is our purpose? What is the purpose of life? It's all about coming back to God. It's a really good place to start as far as this journey of death and transformation and rebirth and metamorphosis. The function of the divine feminine is to descend into form. It's to, the feminine wants to know through experience. Masculine holds the structure, holds the form, very emperor energy, the four, foundation, structure, authority. I have like notes here because this is like so serious. So when it comes to the divine masculine. The true function of the divine masculine is to actually follow the divine feminine, okay? The divine feminine descends, dissolves. She initiates the transformation through the wisdom of experience. So this even came up for me today, talking about Christ and Sophia. Have you ever heard of those two together? Who is Sophia? Okay, I wanted to know, because as I've been making all of these connections between Adam and Eve, Adam and Lilith, light and dark. If you watched another one of my videos, I went down this whole list of like duality, right? So I got a little more clear on that today. Okay, so there's this duality portal, if you will, and I have recognized this duality within multiple things. Okay, so with astrology, that's why I'm obsessed with comparing tropical to sidereal astrology or true sky astrology, because with the duality portal, we're going to call it, there's this old structure, which is like an old paradigm of control. And then there's the new structure, which represents sovereignty. Okay. So in astrology, you have the tropical system that is a fixed, and to me, kind of a forced system that keeps the ego in a loop. Okay. True sky astrology, it's anchored truth and spirit. It's what's actually happening. It's reality. It's the actual truth. It's not like fitting something into a box so that it feels more safe and predictable, whatever. Okay. Whatever is one of my favorite words. So comment whatever if you like it. And then when it comes to the spiritual path, we have religion compared to mystical devotion. One of my favorite things to say is, who is God without someone having to tell you who God is? What does your relationship with God look like without someone having to tell you how to have a relationship with God? That's just been one of my biggest things when it came to religion. I did grow up Christian. I do not consider myself a Christian anymore, but the Bible is one of my favorite books, which is why I talk about it so much in my videos and reference it. Then there's the feminine archetype. You have Eve, who was palatable and docile, okay? Which kind of not really. Then you have Lilith, who was exiled and free, right? You have the environment. Oh my God, I actually said the N in environment. Who am I? You have the garden that was comfortable, and there was control, there was rules, there was safety. And then you have the wilderness, which there you find the initiation, and there you have to have trust. Then I went to this whole thing with the systems, which is kind of taking it back to astrology, where you have the 12 signs, like based off of the solar year. But then you have the 13 signs, which talks about like lunar truth, and it includes the wobble. It includes like how everything is not so perfect, including the 13th sign of the zodiac that's actually in the sky. First of all, why would you take it out? You know what I'm saying? Like, what about, like, my 12th house is ruled by Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. Like, Scorpio representing transformation, but Ophiuchus just like takes it a step further. We're going to keep getting there. I hope that you're staying with me. Then we have like this lens, right? So because mirrors are so interesting in our reality. If we did not have mirrors, like even the camera to be able to capture something and you can see it. Like if we did not have mirrors and you did not know what you look like and you could like only see your hands and like whatever your eyes could see, how would you know what you look like? What would our world be like if we had no mirrors? So when we're talking about lenses, there's in the old structure and control, okay, you have the mirror of self-comparison, but in the new structure, there's the mirror as the divine witness. Oh my God, we could probably talk about that for 30 minutes, okay? But then there's also choice. You can choose to stay small in the old structure, or you can metamorph. Oh my God, and I think about like the Power Rangers. Did you used to watch the Power Rangers as a kid? It's morphin' time. One of my favorite readers actually says that. Like talking to Scorpio, she's a Scorpio. And when she talks to her Scorpio, she's always like, it's morphin' time. And I just think that's like the cutest thing ever. Shout out to Miss Hawaii Tarot. Then there's the myth, right? So I'm a little obsessed with the story of Hades and Persephone. Maybe another time I'll let you know about the first time I ever really heard about that story. It was on a mushroom journey. Just spoiler alert. And then there's this whole thing with Christ. So first of all, Hades and Persephone was like coercion, okay? And then even when I think of Hades and Persephone, I think about bringing it up to a little more modern age of like the Joker and Harley Quinn, okay? As if there's something enticing about it, but low-key, how toxic, okay? And then there's Christ and Sophia, and today was low-key the first time I ever heard of the Sophia thing. Comment if you've ever heard about Christ and Sophia, because I have never, okay? And I'm obsessed. It's like another new obsession. So that is talking about redemption through love. And I think it's just amazing. Now we're still talking about death, transformation, metamorphosis, the liminal space. Okay. Because that is what brings all of this about. Like, how amazing. Doesn't grief happen like that in life? Grief breaks you open. Death opens you up. It transforms you, which is why Scorpio is associated with death and transformation. And even how Hades is associated with Scorpio. But Hades is like, never crosses over. He's like the keeper of hell. Like, he is like the liminal space. Anyway. So these are necessary initiations, okay? Going through the liminal space is an initiation that is, you're never going to be the same. So let's just take a moment and like ground this energy, because it really is a lot. It has kind of overwhelmed me. I was supposed to be fasting today. First of all, everything I've been going through with Blue, I'm like, don't hurt yourself, okay? Second, all of the downloads and revelations and like communing with spirit. Your body needs nourishment. It be needing water, it be needing food. Kudos to 40 days in the wilderness, because I can barely make it through a day of no water, okay? So where can I even start with this? It's just so much to explore. There's just so much to explore here. In the beginning was the Word, right? And the Word was God, and the Word was with God. I've always understood that Christ's consciousness, I've always looked at it as like the Word of God, right? We look at Christ as a consciousness, but then there's Christ is the Word, Christ is love, right? But then you have Sophia, and this is an archetype, okay? Sophia, God's wisdom embodied, okay? Now, this is helping. Thank you, Lord, for notes. I like literally all day I spent times where I would cry about Blue, and then I would come back into study, and then I would cry, and then I would come back to study, and I would check on her and do things with her, and then I would come back to study. And oh my God, when I was writing these things down, I'm like, why does it feel like I'm in school? The divine feminine's function: to descend, dissolve, and initiate transformation through the wisdom of experience. Another way to put it is to willingly enter separation, to experience life in its fullest, pain and beauty, and initiate remembrance. To willingly enter separation. Now, all of these stories that I am talking about here involve separation. Going through this spiritual awakening, relating it to a twin flame journey, because that's how I was initiated, which it's happened before in my life. You can go through multiple spiritual awakenings, right? Multiple Kundalini awakenings, whatever. You go through multiple rememberings. It's not necessarily linear. It's not oh my God, I'm awake. It's we go through this cyclical spiral, if you will, of remembering and awakening in these human bodies. So, to willingly enter separation. So, comparing Adam and Lilith leaving the garden, them separating, comparing Christ and Sophia, Sophia descending, later Christ following, to talk about even Hades and Persephone wound up living in the underworld for half the time, and then living whatever the story, okay? Now, the twin flame journey involving separation, divine masculine and divine feminine having to go through a separation. The divine feminine who's willing to go experience and know, and the masculine who winds up following the feminine. So the feminine truly does lead. She leads, she willingly enters the shadow, she willingly enters the separation. She willingly forgets. And the masculine, the divine masculine's true function, not to dominate, but to follow her into death and call her forth into light. There's a lot happening here, okay? The feminine descends into separation. The masculine stands in stillness, holding order. The feminine seeks to know through experience. The masculine seeks to uphold through structure. The feminine initiates remembrance. The masculine protects the revelation. The feminine awakens through the spiral. The masculine awakens through devotion. The feminine calls the masculine into the water, and the masculine calls the feminine into the fire. Sun and moon. The feminine becomes the wisdom. Again, Sophia, wisdom embodied. The feminine becomes the wisdom. The masculine becomes the form that channels that wisdom. All of it is working together. Separation is required. But the reason why I'm even so intrigued at the Christ and Sophia story is because if I didn't say it already, Christ and Sophia represent divine love united with divine wisdom. So when it comes to the twin flame journey and like people talking about like the relationship aspect, right? If you know about the twin flame journey, you know about the runner chaser dynamic, divine counterparts, right? So you have a divine masculine, divine feminine. But these other stories, like it was like, where is the example of this union, right? So it is inner union, but relationships and having union, like you're still going through that process. So in a physical relationship between two people and they are on a twin flame journey, you have the feminine energy, right? Because we're not gendering here. The feminine energy is the one who is willing to go through the separation. Not like when we're talking about a runner who runs and it's like, oh, it's separation. That's not separation. Like someone who's not choosing themselves, and that's like another note that we're going to get to, because that's really important in this whole dynamic, especially when we're talking about relationships, when it comes to the lenses and the mirrors, right? Because you hear about mirroring. What the oh my God. So one of my favorite readers, when I be watching her and she's like, oh, my nose is running, maybe you're dealing with a runner. The last video that I made, I think this is my 4th day in a row, making it like consecutive days making a video. The last time my nose started running and I thought it was so weird. And now I'm like, oh my God, we're talking about divine masculine, divine feminine, runner chaser dynamic. Crazy. Just crazy how my body is like responding. My nose has not been running all day. And she be saying that in the readings, like, my nose hasn't ran all day. Like for real. My nose has not been running. And now all of a sudden I get like this little drip when I start talking about divine masculine running. Hilarious. Anyway, so mirroring, right? In the twin flame journey, it's like a really big thing where they talk about mirroring. Okay, you're probably sick of hearing about it if you've been learning about the twin flame journey and trying to find like, and I feel like it's always the feminine. The feminine wants to understand. The feminine wants to know. This is just so amazing. I'm just like, I'm so in love with God, and the journey that God has been taking me on through this, through my own spiritual awakening, to even talking about this right now is just amazing. The connections, the wiring in my brain that's happening. When it comes to the mirroring, there's The mirror that shows the part of you that, three things, wanted to be chosen when you weren't your highest self, which I feel like probably the divine feminine experiences, right? You understand what it's like to need a second chance. You know what it's like to have made a mistake. You feel guilty for friends, family, lovers, work, whoever. You feel guilty when someone is, the second thing, not choosing themselves, okay? You feel guilty to walk away. But when someone's not choosing themselves, then how can you choose them? So that brings us to the second thing. The mirror that shows the part of you that struggled to choose someone who wasn't theirs. You struggled in the relationship with family, friends, lover, whatever. Because a twin flame doesn't have to be a romantic partner. That can be a catalyst for a spiritual awakening. You felt guilty for struggling to be in a relationship with this person. You love them, you want to be in relationship with them, but you're struggling with this mirror, right? And it's because they're not choosing themselves. So how can you choose someone who hasn't chosen themselves? It's like you can't. It's the struggle of that. And there's going to constantly be this disconnect. It's like, I love you, but I don't understand why this isn't working, because they have not chosen themselves. So how can you choose them? And I'm getting the fact that that can go both ways, right? Because the feminine, again, in that chasing energy, it's like you have not chosen yourself. So how can the masculine choose you? And vice versa. The masculine hasn't chosen themselves. When they're in distorted masculine energy, the masculine hasn't chosen themselves. And so how can you choose them? You intuitively feel that disconnect. And then the third thing is the mirror that shows the part of you that felt deeply tied to someone who would not meet you where you deserved. And you see it and you feel it. And the feminine energy, again, that can be in any gender. The feminine energy within wants to be met where she's at and where she feels like she deserves, okay? So going through this separation, going through the split where the feminine is like, okay, I'm going to go through this separation. Like, I'm going to do my best to choose myself and reach towards the light, if you will. That's just the analogy that I was getting. There's so many different places to go with this. So if you're resonating with this video, thank you so much for watching. I'm probably going to do my best to like edit out some of the pauses and like whatever. But actually, I also like leaving them in because it's really just like authentic. And who wants to spend the time doing that? But these different relationships that like Christians, some people relate to like, oh, Adam and Eve. And I just thought of it's so funny. Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. When people are gay, I just think that is so funny. Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But how Adam and Eve have been looked at throughout a lot of history as like an ideal couple type of thing. Oh, you was taken out of my rib, we're one flesh and whatever, right? And then you have the myth of Lilith, who was created as Adam's equal, like created with Adam. And then you have Eve that was created from Adam. But taking it to Adam and Lilith, that relationship ruptured from egoic power struggles because Adam insisted that Lilith lie beneath him. Could have been missionary sex, could have been like, oh, I'm dominant over you, like you should be submissive to me, right? Lilith refused, and she was like, I'm your equal. Like, I'm not submitting to you. We're equals. And she left. In the story, Adam was like crying and whining. I'm being dramatic. But low key, he was complaining and was like, oh, can you bring her back, please? And God like sent some angels to like go retrieve Lilith. And she was like, well, I'll come back if he treats me like an equal, if he respects me as an equal and admits I really need to get my life together. So he did not. Okay? He did not say that he was going to admit to treat her like an equal. So then God caused the sleep to be put upon him and took a rib out and Eve and blah, blah, blah. And that's where we get the Adam and Eve story. But we can't really prove that the story of Lilith is not a myth, but to me, it low-key makes sense. But it's fine because either way, it's an archetype and it still is proving a point here, okay? So when it came to Adam and Eve, I'm gonna have to try to talk about this because I don't have this written down. But again, the feminine wants to know. The commandment was not given to Eve to not eat the fruit. It was given to Adam. He was supposed to be the one to lead and protect, to be the container, you know? But Lilith, desiring to know, ate of the fruit. And he didn't stop her. He wasn't there like, oh no, don't eat that or whatever. So again, the masculine not showing up seems like a really big thing when it comes to like the separation story with the twin flames. But, and again, even if it's within yourself, the masculine not showing up, like even just to think about that. How does the feminine energy within you feel safe when the masculine energy is avoiding and is not providing the structure and the safety and being the container? Okay. Moving on to even comparing Adam and Christ, right? Because in the Bible, it even talks about how Adam was like the first, but Christ was like the last Adam or something like that. So, and to be honest, I just made that connection in my mind. So the note that I have here is Christ is the love that pursues rather than demands, okay? Because Adam low-key was making demands, but Christ pursues. Like the masculine follows the feminine. And it's like a healthy dynamic, not in some weird toxic way, okay? Please, like, take what resonates and let's be responsible here. So Christ and Sophia, they still go through a separation. And when we're talking about Christ and Sophia, just a reminder, we're talking about form versus wisdom. And it just makes sense that wisdom comes first. Like if Christ was the word, wisdom or Sophia was the thought, okay? The masculine being the form, the feminine being the womb, okay? there's a lot to unpack here, so I hope you're following and like do your own studies and like your own meditations to meditate on these things, especially if you feel like you've been going through a twin flame journey. And I know that we started this video off talking about death, transformation, transition. Again, going through transformation causes the awakening. It's an initiation. Going through loss, grief, separation, heartbreak, these things, they open up the heart. They break open the consciousness. If you allow it, because that's also another thing that we'll wind up getting to. It's like, it's if you allow it, right? Because even thinking about Hades wasn't evolving. Hades didn't evolve, but Persephone did. Persephone evolved. She was this innocent young maiden who was abducted, and I can't even say the word, but it is like she was sexually assaulted. That's, well, we'll say that, but it's a more vulgar word that we're not going to use in this video. But the reclaimed story of Persephone is that she did not remain a victim. She became the queen of the underworld. She did not let the darkness overtake her. She learned how to walk through death without becoming death herself, which I thought was kind of cool. So the masculine fears the fragmentation when the feminine actually trusts it. Again, how the feminine leads the way. The feminine initiates the separation. She initiates the remembering. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. So the feminine calls the masculine to feel, to descend, and to die to the ego. Did I say that right? The feminine calls the masculine to feel, to descend, to die to the ego. The masculine calls the feminine to rise, to rebuild, to form new life from what she has learned. And when we think about even the twin flame journey and how the feminine leads the way, going through the, I want to say pain, rejection, heartbreak, the death, the going through like the death of the relationship, the feminine is called to rise. Like, it's not about being back with her person. It's about rising in consciousness. And we can relate this even to transition, right? Because like when my mother passed away, it was like, first of all, my mom used to say like, oh, when your dog passes away, you're going to be a mess. And then jokes on me, my mother winds up passing away years before my dog even really gets sick. And so, but the point is that going through that experience, it was so numbing. Like, the masculine energy wants to control, right? I could feel that part of me that didn't want to believe that she was going to pass away, that was like, oh, well, we need to do this, well, we need to do this, like, wants to maintain that structure, that form, that control. And then it takes me back to the old structure versus the new structure, the masculine versus the feminine. Like, oh my God. And again, the point of how transformation is what allows the union to happen. If you didn't go through the separation, if you didn't go through a transformation, if you didn't go through the time in the chrysalis, And the chrysalis is like how a caterpillar goes into the cocoon, like the chrysalis, that's the cocoon of the caterpillar, which turns into the butterfly. Which we could even talk about that for like 30 minutes, about metamorphosis and like the process of that. It's a trusting, it's a dissolving, it's a melting that happens, and the feminine low-key lives for that. Like, that is low-key her purpose, you know, and function. It's her function. And the masculine takes what the feminine has learned in this disillusionment. Oh my God, did I just connect this to Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries? We are having like such a new beginning in the merging of this energy. Excuse my astrology brain for a second, okay? But I'm just making these connections because it's all connected. All of the spiritual truths, everything, it's all pointing to the same thing. And it's about divine union. It's about union between the masculine and the feminine. It's about union between the form and the formless. Union between the mind and body, right? Yoga, getting the body and the breath to move as one. Like, I feel like I am almost about to get emotional because it's just so beautiful how God speaks. It's just so beautiful how God speaks, and especially when you're listening. At the same time, this catalyst, the tower in the tarot. Do you see the connections? We can connect Bible, yoga, mysticism, astrology, numerology. It's all connected. It's all connected. Everything in the universe is screaming for this union. That's happening. It's happening either way. From the beginning of time, when the feminine descended, which I feel like that's when we started to even see how everything was happening. Like the Big Bang, the split, the feminine is like, I'm gonna go experience form. I want to go experience this. I feel like this is enough for today. The feminine dissolves the illusion and the masculine rebuilds the world in like the image of what was learned. Everything is working together. These are low-key all of my notes. But these are necessary initiations, and maybe we feel like we're losing our innocence. Maybe we feel like we're losing our freedom, but we're gaining queenship, authority over life and death, deep wisdom about cycles and seasons. So I am really still getting clear about how to even talk about this. Divine masculine, divine feminine, inner union, death and transformation, and just how all of this is even coming together. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. I already shuffled all these cards. I wanted to go through like some cards because that's just like my thing, is like going through the tarot. I didn't expect to talk for so long about this, but what are the lessons, just messages from God, messages from Spirit through the Soul's Journey lesson cards, some tarot. We could just leave it at that today. Discipline is the card that came out. I can accomplish what I set my mind to. You can freaking accomplish this union, bro. Like this union is happening. It's not linear, but this union is happening. It's undeniable. You can't escape it. Divine timing. But the discipline in studying yourself, knowing yourself, seeking God. Oh my God, someone's dog is like going crazy. I don't know if you can hear that dog. I just realized. And then at the bottom of the deck is relationships, which again, masculine, feminine, inner union, twin flame journey. That is the underlying energy of this reading, is relationships. I am attracted to those people who serve my higher good. So as we heal that relationship between divine masculine, divine feminine, we start to attract those whole relationships. Oh my God, bottom of the deck, because I shuffled these, but I didn't look. I was so adamant to not look at the cards as I was shuffling, doing like the last of my studying for this video. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Swords, endings, cycles completing. I'm also getting death and transformation, even though it's not the death card, but that's what I'm getting. Okay, so underlying energy, endings, completion. Oh my God, like look at you, cycle breaker. Look at you, isn't this exciting? Queen of Cups, you magnetic little witch, black cat energy. I don't chase, I attract. Queen of Wands, confidence, magnetic, radiant. Look at you. Justice at the bottom of the deck. Look at how things are coming into balance, which is the 11, ascension. Ascension, spiritual awakening. Look at you. Look at you, like you're farther along than what you think, which is really interesting. All the tears that I was crying today about feeling like I'm losing one of my best friends. Oh my God, it's like all in my head. The Devil card. This is another card that's relating to you. Don't let me take it from you, okay? This is relating to you. And Justice still at the bottom of the deck, spiritual ascension. This karmic contracts, twin flames, okay? The two people on the deck. In bondage. In this bondage that does not have to be. The Devil card is a card of like addictions and like addictions and patterns. Because I think of the Lovers card when I see the Devil because of the two people still. The Lovers, they're in front of like this angel though. And then on the Devil card, these two people are in front of the Devil. So it's giving that bondage, but like unnecessary. It's giving me like Adam and Eve, Adam and Lilith. It's like this fruit on the card as well. But anyway, everything that we've been talking about, like that feels significant. I feel like this was a really, really great time. I'm really excited to explore more of this. Life is just starting to feel like I'm on like one big mushroom trip. I don't even know when's the last time I've even done mushrooms. And I just feel like God is just doing it, okay? Just doing it. Temperance. Balance between like heaven and earth. Card of balance. I'm loving that for this energy. Like look at the energy that you are in. You are finding balance like even in this liminal space, even in your transition, even in your transformation. You beautiful phoenix, you. Like you are rising from the ashes. And I'm also getting like balanced masculine and feminine energy from the Temperance card as well. Bottom of the deck was the Nine of Wands, that wounded warrior energy. But also I love how someone else explained it with how like Nine of Wands, it's like right before the Ten of Wands, like you're like the fight's almost over. The fight is almost over. Oh my God. I really don't even want to take so many cards, but it's feeling significant. So we have the Two of Cups and the Three of Cups. So that's like divine union and also celebration. So I feel like, look at how you're coming into union with God within yourself, and look at how your spirit team is celebrating you. Okay. Then we have the Hanged Man, because you're looking at things from a different perspective now. Okay. Like your whole view on this is changing. Your whole view on this is changing. And the fact that the Hanged Man is in front of the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords, your whole perception is changing when it comes to the betrayal that you went through, when you, like the backstabbing that happened, all the mental confusion and chaos and deception. Like, you are starting to look at this a whole different way now with the Hanged Man, because now you see that this catalyst that has you in this chrysalis is the catalyst that has you in this chrysalis has you in a whole new mindset now. Like before, you were looking at it like it was terrible and like, what the heck? And when is this going to be over? And now you're starting to dance in the space a little bit. Now you're starting to feel like, okay. And again, it's not linear. Like, it's not to say that like in 10 minutes you won't be feeling like, oh my God, like, when is this going to be over? And it's terrible and it hurts and it's breaking my heart, you know? Death card at the bottom, underlying energy, Phoenix, rebirth, transformation, it's morphin time. I ain't even trying to copy off of her. I just think it's the cutest thing ever. It's morphin time. Anyway, this has already been long enough. I'll take 3 more cards if it'll come out. 3 more cards, Lord. 3 more cards, Spirit. Oh my gosh. What a day. The 6 of Wands wanted to come out, but it didn't. Which is interesting because I feel like both sides can do this, but especially you. If you watching this video, you probably struggle, and we talked about this in one of my previous videos recently, that 6 of Wands energy is low key what is holding this up. Needing the validation, needing the recognition, needing the success. Like, I really like the word validation. And I like that it didn't come out, because I feel like that energy is loosing. Like, now you're starting to feel like, okay, I don't need to have like my dog stay alive. Like, it's okay if she's ready to go, then I'm ready to let her go. Like, you know, when my mom passed, with the relationship that ended for me. Oh my God, how long ago was that now? You know, it's starting now. It's starting to feel like another life. You're not holding on to the same. Like, you don't need the same outcome. You're finally starting to release the outcome, which I think that pertains a lot to the separation period, and that the trust, the surrender that has to happen. This is just so amazing. Okay, Page of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, you know what I'm getting from this card? Now you're not being so naive. Now you're not being so naive. Now you're not being so looking at this from such an immature perspective. Now you're not looking at what you want to manifest from such an immature space. That's what I'm getting from the Page of Pentacles reverse. At the bottom of the deck is the Fool. At the bottom of the deck is the Fool. Because you know what you're doing. Like, now you're feeling like, I can have this new beginning. I actually can see, I mean, you see this person like on the edge of a cliff, like, I can do this. I'm singing in the rain. It's not even raining, but it's like, now I feel like you're going about this like a little bit more adventurous. Like, what's actually possible here? Now, when we're talking about illness and losing people that we love and people who are in like actual like physical transition, it's terrible. And again, as I'm holding this space as the midwife, as the doula of the transitions, like, I totally understand. Don't take my smile and my happiness for me, what is it, diminishing or like anything about your situation, because even as I was crying earlier, and like as you're going through losing someone, or as you're going through the pains of the loss of the relationship or the finances that haven't come in yet, and you're like, oh, like you're, it's that, the liminal space is so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable, and it's not linear. Like I said, like where I've been at 3 times today versus where I'm at right now. And I feel like that again is the love of God, because it's only through that space. It's only through surrender. It's only through, the only way out is through, Empress. Empress. The 3 energy. The 3s are builders. You can really start to build something. Things start to come into form with the 3s. The symbol of Venus on the card, like divine feminine, nurturing and embodied, just embodied wisdom. The fact that the Empress came out on this card, oh my God. Oh my God. Page of Swords was at the bottom of the deck, which says a lot about how like mentally you're really starting to look at this from a fresh perspective, bro. Page of Swords can also signify like incoming messages. Oh, and the 7 of Cups came out with the incoming messages. Don't let it confuse you, baby. Don't let it confuse you. Like, continue to sort, continue to use your intuition. The 7 of Cups can be a card of like sorting, like look through, okay? Hold your boundaries, protect your heart, protect your peace. Don't let anybody come in taking that away from you after you spent all that time in the liminal space, having to pick yourself back up, having to put yourself back together, having to be your own container. Okay, Divine Feminine, because when the, I want to say healed masculine, because whatever. When that masculine comes in, who can be that container? Okay, Sun card related to the masculine, okay? Because I feel like that sun, I feel like the divine masculine is coming. I feel like the divine masculine is coming. And there was like some things in the astrology too where I was like, does this mean that this is like a time that like a lot of twin flame journeyers like might be coming into union? But they say that the sun card is like the happiest card in the deck. So I just love that that came out for you too, with the King of Cups at the bottom, because you're remaining like authoritative over your emotions. Oh, you're not letting nothing move you right now. Even though it's probably very difficult. I'm not going to say it's not difficult. It's not that it's not difficult, that's for sure. Oh my God, didn't I say 3 more cards? I think that was it. That was it, with the Ace of Cups at the bottom. I think it's just perfect. So those were your messages. What a fun time of talking. I am sending you so much love. I thank you for spending this time with me, and I'm sending you so much love. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Oh my God. Blue, you really have to stop, okay? I guess I'll be editing that. Okay.